We are back once again, this time with a follow-up video on the video we did just previously. The follow-up will specifically deal with the scrutiny report. In that video, I indicated that it does not sit well with Honorable Raila Odinga's team. One of our viewers called me and asked me to explain in detail how that is the case. I must warn, before I proceed with that analysis, that this does not mean that the report will benefit Ruto side and IBC sides entirely. Before I proceed to do that analysis, do kindly subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell so that you are notified whenever we post. Well, on to the main topic, our analysis today. I will start by saying the purpose of a judicial or the purpose of a report or a scrutiny report that is supervised by court. Number one, it is intended to assist the court to ascertain whether the process of election is accountable, whether it is transparent, and whether it is verifiable. That goes first of all to answering the issue number one. If you look at the issues framed by the Supreme Court judges, issue number one specifically on technology, because it deals with technology, the report itself. Another thing, report deals with the issue of scrutiny of the vote itself. In Azimio's case, Azimio are alleging that two things: that technology was compromised, and the other one, that the votes of Raila Odinga's were reduced to favor Ruto, and Ruto's votes were increased to the advantage of Raila Odinga. So what does the report show? And again, I warned that scrutiny report does not only delve on those two issues. It is much more broader than you can imagine, because it goes into inspecting the materials of used during the voting process, including the seals and the ballot boxes. Did they conform with all those processes that are required? Are the Form 34A intact as required in the box? Are the materials properly kept as required by the law? So the report details all those things. However, the main issues that are of most concerns are whether from that report you can ascertain whether the process was transparent, accountable, and verifiable. So you will note, and I believe everybody saw this, that when the report was presented to court, on the issue of technology in particular, Azimio came with their own report. What was the implication of Azimio's report to court? They thought to file the same, and in fact, they gave it to the judges for inspection. What happened thereafter? Of course, it was not allowed. They spoke on that report rather than speaking to the report by the registrar of the court. So that means they missed an opportunity to benefit from the registrar's report and used theirs, which eventually did not go into evidence. What then does the registrar's report indicate that Azimio's report does not indicate? One, it indicates that there was no form of suspicious activities with respect to the servers. There could be complaints that that IEBC did not give access to certain server, but reasons were given, and alternative mechanism of accessing the information they required was given. So with respect to technology, I do believe Azimio's case or position that there were suspicious activities with respect to the servers is now very weak, because the report shows otherwise. But that does not mean or necessarily mean then that the case will be based solely on the report. It entails a lot of things, including constitutional compliance and other compliances, which, as you know or as you observed, were of concern to the courts. The other issue relates to counting of the votes. Azimio alleged in their petition that Ruto's votes were either increased and Raila's votes reduced to favor Ruto. According to the counts, because a petitioner has to specifically identify which areas you would want the court to really scrutinize and see if the allegations he or she is making are true. What turned out, however, was that the votes substantially tallied with what was written or what was recorded in Form 34A. So how does this then impact the issue of numbers? How does this then impact really the argument on numbers? So that report is supposed to give the court an overview of the transparency, the accountability, and the security of the system in terms of technology. And then the other one, it also has to give the court an overview of the believability of the numbers as presented by IEBC. So the question is, if 45 they asked, most of them actually, if I may just say, about 98% tallied, then the court would probably think, if that the ones you had suspected that there were illegalities there have now tallied, then there can be no reason to question the rest. And that also shows one thing, that if at all there was rigging, then Azimio did not know where Ruto hit them. The points or places where they thought Ruto hit them are not actually the places. That could be another thing. Or, and this now is some truth that we must take, that there could not have been rigging. But that is left for the determination of the court. And again, I must warn, the report details that certain materials, including seals, with respect to the boxes, did not match the materials in which the material, rather the seals which had been used at the polling station. So Azimio could argue, if then the seal that was used has now been removed, and in fact, if you remove or open the ballot box upon being closed without the order of the court, that is an offense. So if that happened, how then can we believe in these numbers? How then can we believe in the counts that was going? Could there have been some sort of stuffing thereafter so as to match these things? So all these questions are very important, and I believe they're really going to disturb the minds of the judges. But as it stands, however, the report has greatly boosted Ruto's response and IEBC's response to Raila Odinga's petition. Because you have to have one thing in mind, that elections can never be perfect. There could be some mistakes here and there. And that Ruto side could argue that some of those mistakes were indicated in IEBC's error report, which again was filed in court. So the court will be looking at its own report vis-a-vis that of IEBC's. So if there is substantial match between its report and the IEBC's report, then it could come to the conclusion that the elections were indeed verifiable to that extent, without going into the constitutional argument. So that is my view on the report alone. That is just one aspect of this case. So when it comes to that report, it does favor Ruto rather than Raila. That is all for our follow-up. Again, I remind you, do share this video because it is very educative. Our people need to know what is going on and how to interpret these issues in court without being fed with some of the misleading information that is going out there. Thank you very much.